All right, guys, how's it going? We are back with another reaction video, and this time we have the Tulip Mania. So I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Tulip Mania when I've been doing my Netherlands reaction videos and stuff. So I was curious. I asked for a video on Tulip Mania, and you guys delivered. So this is what I got for you. It's when a tulip bulb cost as much as a house. The Tulip Mania of 1637. So, as always, the link to the original video will be in the description section down below. And let's jump into it. Let's find out what's going on with this Tulip Mania, or what was going on, evidently. It was in the past, obviously. So, let's check it out.
This episode of the History Guy is brought to you by Magellan TV. An old man walked the city. He was resting wearily on a cane as he walked, and he was searching the city's flower beds. Whenever he saw a tulip, he would stop, raise
Sorry. Trying to get my volume right,
the
guys.
cane above his head, bring it down in a sharp arc, and destroy the offending flower. And then, as if nothing happened, he would simply start walking again, searching the city's flower beds for tulips and destroying them wherever he found them. He
Okay.
was destroying tulips because he was mad at them. It was 1637, and the bubble had just burst on Tulip Mania, a period of wild
I pissed.
speculation
Yeah, yep.
over the simple tulip in the Dutch Republic that had left a wake of ruined lives and fortunes. It is history that deserves to be remembered.
All right.
But before we talk tulips, I do want to take a moment to talk to you about the sponsor of today's episode, because if you like the History Guy, you will almost certainly like Magellan TV.
Magellan TV, guys, go
We
check it out.
mentioned Magellan TV a couple of weeks ago, and if you still haven't signed up, you should really consider it. There are lots of streaming TV services these days, but Magellan TV is special. It is a streaming service for great, premium, in-depth documentaries. Magellan has over 1,500
Check it
documentaries
out, guys,
on
if you're
nature, science, and
interested
of course
in
history
history.
that are carefully curated so you can find the ones that you want. They're all high quality. They include 4K resolution. They're made by documentary filmmakers. They put on new content all the time, and with the streaming service, there are no ads or interruptions. And you can watch Magellan, it's very, very easy, on mobile apps for your devices, or you can use it on Fire TV, Apple TV, or Roku, so you can watch it pretty much anywhere you are. It's pretty obvious that I'm
Awesome.
addicted to documentaries. Heck, I make documentaries for a living. I love Magellan TV. I think that you'll love Magellan TV too. And if you sign up with the link that's in our description, you'll get the first month free. I highly recommend, I just got finished watching
There you
one
guys
called
go. First
Apollo's
month
New
free.
Moons, which goes through all sorts of discoveries that we are still making today based on the moon rocks that were collected during the Apollo program. It was
Nice.
fascinating. You know, I just love Magellan TV. I think you'll love it too. It covers all sorts of history that deserves to be remembered. The history of the cultivation of the tulip begins in the Persian Empire, most likely around the 10th century. The blossoms were usually red, but occasionally would appear as white or yellow. Tulips are mentioned by Omar Khayyam, a famous Persian mathematician, astronomer, and poet. He wrote, "What thou 'tis fair to view this form of man, I know not why, the heavenly artisan, has set these tulip cheeks and cypress forms, to deck the mournful halls of earth's divan." Historical records for the tulip are difficult to locate, as the flower may have been mistakenly identified or labeled by botanists unfamiliar with it. Part of the flower's charm was how quickly it could mutate or change color. Similar to apples,
Okay.
tulips have inherent variability, which means that they don't necessarily appear like their parent flower. A tulip plant can be grown from either seeds or buds, but a seed forms a flowering bulb after 7 to 12 years. Since it can take several years for the new plants with their unique colors to show, there's
7
the
to
potential for a
12.
delightful surprise.
7 to 12 years, guys? Wow. Okay, so that's definitely something I did not know.
A botanist wrote in 1597 about the tulip, "Nature seems to play more with this flower than with any other that I do know.
Really?
This ability to change, some believed, showed the flower was blessed by the attention of God."
Okay.
Tulips bloom in April and May in the northern hemisphere, and then from June to September the plant is dormant and bulbs can safely be uprooted and moved. So purchases, at first, occurred during these months. The trade was tied to a natural schedule. The tulips we have today may not look like the tulips grown in Persia, Turkey, and later the Dutch Republic. For example, tulips with long petals were favored by early Ottoman botanists and artists. Artists, when drawing the ideal flower of the period, drew tulips that resembled daggers more than the softly cut flowers that are
Oh,
seen
wow.
today. In fact, this ideal was impossible to maintain, as the closer the petals came to each other, the less pollinators could assist the tulip in propagation. Perhaps this is why the extremely long-petaled tulip is not common today.
like
The
to
tulip
see
is
one.
believed to have been introduced to the Western world by an ambassador from the Habsburg Empire to the Constantinople court of Suleiman the Magnificent. In the early 1500s, Ogier Gizan de Bousbec shipped a container of the bulbs home, where it ignited the imaginations of the plant admirers who saw it. Partially fueled by plant discoveries in the New World, botany was undergoing a type of renaissance at the time.
Okay.
Plants were being experimented with by physicians in order to determine what, if any, healing properties they may have possessed. Monarchs and other wealthy nobles planted vast gardens, seeking not just useful, but also beautiful and novel plants for their properties. The tulip was a perfect fit for the age, despite the fact that no practical use for the flower could be found.
Right, this is
Attempts were made to
decoration.
develop a tulip into a delicacy to be eaten, but it didn't catch on. Some innovative physicians ground up and boiled the tulip, touting it as a cure for gas or uncomfortable
Yeah,
bowels, but that also failed.
probably don't taste
The
good.
tulip has little to no scent, and some believe that proved the flower to be moderate and chaste, moral virtues highly prized by the Calvinists, Catholics, and other Christians of the era. Carolus Clusius, a physician and director of the Imperial Botanical Garden of Vienna, took some of the tulip bulbs with him when he relocated to the University of Leiden in the Dutch Republic. Clusius planted the plants in his new garden and became possessive of the tulips he grew, noting fascinating mutations. Some of these
Okay.
colorful mutations were labeled broken by botanists. Broken tulips are also called bizarres at the time, or when the solid color of the petal was crossed by lines or streaks of white or yellow,
I think it looks
marking a
really
beautiful
cool.
change from a single color flower.
Yeah.
Clusius and his contemporaries had no idea what caused the mutation, but were fascinated both by its beauty and seeming randomness. The moderate flower that was now something of a gamble, as the broken tulips were more difficult to offset, which increased the demand and value for them. Scientists now know that a virus spread by the peach potato aphid is primarily responsible for the stunning variations
Peach potato aphid. It's not even a potato though.
seen in tulips.
Hmm.
Peach trees were a common fruit tree found in the gardens of the time, and the contamination probably happened within the gardens themselves. Since they didn't know what caused the mutations, gardeners tried to artificially coax the flowers to break by using plaster from walls or pigeon dung as fertilizer. Others attempted to
Master.
put pigmentation directly into the soil, praying that the plants drew the color up into their stems and then into the petals.
It ain't
When
celery.
these methods didn't work, the gardeners would approach the fortunate owner of the mutated tulips and ask for cuttings from them. Sell us your flowers, name the price, and we'll pay it, hobby botanist begged Clusius. He declined and would not be moved by any amount of money. He knew he would most likely not be able to replicate his extraordinary collection. Undeterred, the covetous gardeners organized a night raid into Clusius's gardens and stole the best ones they could find. After the theft, Clusius, according to contemporary historians, lost courage and the desire to continue their cultivation. However, he continued his correspondence with botany enthusiasts throughout the world and is credited with being the father of all the beautiful gardens in the Dutch Republic.
Nice.
The thieves lost no time spreading the bounty throughout the Republic. The stolen flowers of Clusius began something of a tulip renaissance, and the obsession with broken and rare tulips continued. The most valued flower of the era is still said to be the Semper Augustus, a red and white striped beauty that displayed its color both inside and outside the blossom, from the base to the tip of the petal.
The end of the petals look
The
weird
Semper
too.
Augustus, which no longer exists today, wasn't even viewed by that many enthusiasts at the time, because almost all of the examples of the flower were owned by one person. Historians disagree on who that person was, but some say it was Dr. Adrian Pow, a director of the East India Company. A botanist from the period saw an example of the Semper Augustus in Pow's garden in 1624, and afterwards he wrote, "Never did a florist see one more beautiful than this." Like Clusius before him, Pow refused to sell the flowers. Some collectors offered 13,000 florins, or the cost of a home, for the
Wow.
rare find. The increased demand for the rare and beautiful tulips caused their prices to skyrocket. Some collectors were selling their businesses to buy the flowers. A groom was said to have accepted a single tulip as a dowry for his bride. Everyone from the butcher to the baker was getting into the trade. A burglar was said to have sold his tools to purchase tulips.
No shot.
Tulips were big business. When the demand outpaced production, tulip bulb transactions were changed from exchanges for money for bulbs to promissory notes or a promise for delivery of bulbs in the future. Now historians say the win handle or win trade began in earnest, as the trade was no longer tied to the natural dormant season for tulips.
We are learning a lot, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. I do appreciate all the support you guys have gave me and everything. Yeah, it's much appreciated for sure.
Various trading practices began in response to the demand for tulips. A florist and a potential buyer would meet in the back room of a tavern where they would select impartial judges. The florist and buyer would write the price that they were willing to sell and buy the flower for on boards that would be passed to the judges. The two judges, or proxies, would consider the numbers on both boards and write down a number somewhere in between that they considered fair. Then the boards were passed back to the florist and potential buyer. If both accepted the price, then the deal was done. If only one person accepted the price, then the florist paid a fine to the judges, which acted as a small incentive to close the deal. When the buyer paid for the flowers, a small amount, called wine money, went to the judges. The wine money went to the tavern to keep the drinks and transactions flowing.
Nice.
Some bulbs are said to be bought and sold up to 10 times in one day. It was
Wow.
a party-like atmosphere with incredible amounts of money changing hands. Until February 2nd, 1637. A florist in the city of Haarlem went to the taverns and offered up his bulbs for sale, reportedly at 1,250 guilders. No one wanted the deal. He lowered it, and the result was the same. And again, no takers. Everyone in the room realized Tulip Mania was over. Word quickly spread, and florists across the Republic were left with worthless bulbs. Historians have argued about whether Tulip Mania was an actual bubble or simply a result of other pressures of the market. For example, in February 1637, the Guild of Dutch Florists lobbied the Parliament to change the rules regulating the contracts to buy bulbs, making the contracts more favorable to the buyer. Economist Earl Thompson believed this is why the prices of tulips ran way up. Buyers are speculating that the rule change would make them even more money. They ceased buying when they realized that it wasn't true. Whatever the causes of tulip mania, the biggest push against the phenomena was by religious groups who believed the rise and fall of the flower showed the population's underlying greed and desire for money. Pamphlets appeared with titles like The Fall of the Great Garden Whore and scenes from the remarkable year 1637 when one fool hatched another, the idle rich lost their wealth, and the wise lost their senses.
Is that just hold on, guys? I'm sorry. A random monk. There's just random monkeys here. What's going on?
Another, the idle rich lost their wealth, and the
Satirical?
wise lost their senses. These circulated through the cities, once centers of tulip mania. Now, an old man walked down the street and crushed the worth of tulips with his cane. Despite its volatile beginnings, the tulip is still intimately connected with Holland, which is sometimes called the flower shop of the world. Each year, there are tulip festivals held all around the world in places where Dutch settlers made their homes, maintaining that intimate connection between the Dutch and the flower whose fortunes rose and fell in so short a period of time. And beyond those economic considerations, there's actually right now a search for the mythical black tulip. The idea of the black tulip was credited to Alexander Dumas, who in 1850 wrote a novel called The Black Tulip, which creates a human drama in which a person is to be awarded a prize if they can grow the perfect black tulip. And with the plant's natural variability, we are coming closer and closer to that today. Tulips so dark purple that they appear to be black. Some growers claim that the perfect black tulip is essentially the holy grail of tulip cultivation. And if someone were to grow one, you wonder what the bulb would be worth, and whether it would spark a new tulip mania.
Oh, that'd be some shit, huh?
I hope you enjoyed this episode of The History Guy, short snippets of forgotten history between...
There you guys have it. That was The History Guy. Links to the original video will be in the description section down below. And if you want to support the channel, I have a couple links for donation methods down in the description as well. Send a note for a video you want me to suggest, or you want me to react to, suggested video. And if you want me to give you a shout out, send that with your donation as well. That would be awesome. I appreciate the support, guys. Until next time, I will catch you in the next one, and we will continue our learning journey together.